Bon dia, titis. Bon dia, tastaolletes. Aquest mes m'he oficialment graduat a la meva carrera universitària, així que ara ja sóc una persona adulta i seriosa. Vull compartir amb vosaltres el meu treball final de grau, que ha estat interromput pel nostre ja vell conegut coronavirus. Així que en lloc de fer un article científic amb resultats ja concloents, definitius, he fet una proposta de projecte amb resultats preliminars però encara molta feina per fer. La raó per la qual us ho vull ensenyar és perquè, 1, m'ha agradat molt i em fa molta il·lusió compartir-ho, i 2, perquè us vull demostrar que és possible ajuntar les nostres passions. Jo he aconseguit fer el TFG amb Èpica Lab i amb el grup de recerca de Lluís Fuentimilla a la Universitat de Barcelona, ajuntant així teatre i neurociència. Però vaja, us deixo amb el vídeo. Podeu activar els subtítols en català o en anglès per entendre-ho millor. Moltes gràcies a tots i endavant amb la presentació Cèlia del passat. Hello everyone, my name is Cèlia Ventura and welcome to the presentation of my final thesis, titled How Theatre Shapes Us, a project proposal to assess the effect of theatre on participants' and audiences' memory. So let's start from the beginning. What is the aim of this project? Well, our hypothesis is that theatre is able to trigger an emotional arousal, and by doing so, enhance our memory. So as you can see, we have 3 different pieces of a puzzle that we're trying to put together. During this presentation, in order to make it clear and easier to follow, I'm going to have the 2 pieces that we're trying to fit at the moment down here on the right bottom. However, this is not all from scratch. Previous literature has already shown that arousal and memory fit together. What we have already seen is that when we have a learning experience, this one follows a normal pathway of encoding, which ends up into our memory storage. However, if there is an arousal at the same time, this one will start a new pathway that involves hormones. These hormones will be released into the amygdala, and the amygdala will send projections to different parts of the brain, which will end up enhancing our memory. Something that we have to take into account as well is that arousal doesn't always improve or enhance the memory that it's happening at that moment, but also the experiences that happened before and after the arousal. Now that we know this, what are the objectives that we're trying to achieve? Well, first of all, we want to determine if theatre is actually able to trigger this arousal. Secondly, we want to see if theatre will be able to enhance our memory, to have an effect on the memory. The methodology that we followed was together with Fundació Èpica. Fundació Èpica is an association that works to bridge science and theatre together. Furthermore, the new proposed experiments will also work with the same association and follow the same methodology. As you can see here, there are 2 different memory tests. The one that is targeted at participants, the actors, the cast, and the one that is targeted to the audience. Furthermore, they're always divided into 2 different parts. The encoding part, that is when they're shown words or images that they will have to remember, and the test part, where we assess if they remember them and if there is a difference to what we would expect. So this process consists of 2 weeks of creative process. 27 people, not necessarily from an artistic background, were brought in and they created a show from scratch. At the end of the 2nd week, they showed it to the audience. That is 85 people during 2 different days. The memory test that was done on the participants, as you can see, it was at the beginning of week 1. This is because that's when they were under special circumstances. 50% of the participants were pretending or were filling the shoes of someone with a neurodegenerative disorder, while the other 50% were the caregivers, so they had to take care of them. So during 24 hours, they lived under very special circumstances, and that's when we performed our memory test. If you want to know more information about this process, you can find it in the methodology of our thesis. The memory test performed on the audience, however, happened during the show. But as you can see, the encoding part is divided into 3 different boxes. This is because we wanted to check not only the memory on the moment of the arousal, the moment of the show, but before and after. So the audience were shown words before the show, during the show, and after the show. And the test was not done 24 hours later, but 1 week later. Furthermore, you can see 2 orange lines. That's because with the audience, we were able to perform an arousal survey. They were asked for their perceived arousal level before and after the show. And now that we know the methodology, let's jump ahead and see the preliminary results, which are going to be on the left of the screen, and the proposed experiments on the right side of the screen. Our first objective was to determine if theater can trigger an emotional arousal. As you remember, this was done with the audience, and you can see in here that the level they perceived on themselves of arousal is statistically different from before the show and after the show. What this suggests is that there is a perceived arousal on the audience after the show. However, of course, we want to go one step further. And even though in new shows we want to ensure and repeat this perceived arousal survey, we also want to physically assess this arousal. We want to check 3 different parameters: galvanic skin conductance, heartbeat, and alpha amylase. The 3 of them are further explained also in the thesis, because with these ones we will be able to assess if there is actually a physical arousal. Furthermore, we also want to include the participants in this arousal experiment, so they will also be doing both of them. Our second objective was to check whether theater has an impact on memory. These results are the ones that we obtain with the audience. As you can see in here, on the first graph, you can see the hit percentage average. That is the amount of answers that they got correct. It is higher than this horizontal line. This horizontal line is at 50% and represents what we would expect by chance. So randomly, people would get 50% of the answers right. So when we compare both, we can see that there is a statistically significant difference. So it would suggest that yes, there is an impact on memory. We also checked the difference at the 3 different moments that we did the encoding part, before, during, and after the show, and no difference were observed. So what we saw with these results, what they suggested is that there is an effect of theater and that it affects both during the arousal, but also prospectively and retrospectively. However, this is not a suggestion because there is still much more work to be done. For instance, we need to do negative controls, and they are proposed to do in the following weeks or the following experiments. Moreover, we want to repeat this experiment with modifications because only 1/3 of the audience actually responded to the test. So we expect that if we reduce the length of the memory test, we will get more participation. Let's see the other side of this objective, the effect of theater on memory, as you can see down here on the 2 little pieces, but now on the participants. These are the results that we obtained. As you can see, once again, there seems to be a statistically significant difference between what they answered and we would expect by chance, once again, without negative controls. And also, when we compare the 2 roles that we were saying before, the sick with the neurodegenerative disorder and the caregivers, there doesn't seem to be a statistically significant difference. So our final conclusion with this part is that there seems to be an effect of theater, or it's suggested, and it doesn't seem to have a relation with the role that they play. However, we want to repeat these experiments, of course, and we want to obtain negative controls because that is essential to ensure these results. Let's jump into the conclusions. So as we saw during this project, it seems that there is a perceived arousal on the audience after the show and that there is an effect of theater on our memory. However, even though it would seem that these 3 pieces come and fit together, there is still much more work to be done. We need to get negative controls and to repeat these experiments to ensure these results. Also, by doing these experiments, more open questions pop up. For example, regarding this effect, is it carried out on the proposed pathway? Is it characteristic to epic shows or can it be generalized to theater? Does it persist over time? Or going one step further, could this affect also general brain plasticity and brain health? And if so, could theater be used as a tool to promote healthy aging? Of course, all of this is still a long way to go. However, these results are very promising and they show that this field of study is something that we want to continue and to pursue. Thank you everyone for your attention. Special thanks to everyone who has helped me carry out this project and for believing that we could do a project putting together science and arts. Special thanks to Luis Ventimiglia, David Comas, and Epica Lab. And if you have any questions or want to make any comments, please go ahead. My email is right below, cventurabarcelona@gmail.com. Thank you so much. I aquest és el meu TFG, espero que us hagi interessat. El podeu trobar complet aquí baix el link a la meva web. Si voleu veure més vídeos meus de ciència, no tant tostons o de teatre, cotillegeu una mica al meu canal i si us agrada, subscriviu-vos. Bona nit, titis. Bona nit, estelletes.